another edition of Flames Nation Live. My name is Pat. Who do we got there on the bottom of the screen? Oh, look, it's our old buddy Pike. What's going on, Pike? Welcome to the show.
Pat, I feel like I haven't seen you since I saw you yesterday. Granted,
That's true. I did see you
much further
yesterday.
away than here.
Yes, you were across the ice from me. We were both at the Saddle Dome watching that rookie game, which we'll get to in just a second. Here we are on the eve of Calgary Flames training camp, waiting for the camp roster to come out. Who's in? We got Dallas in first, Jackson, Ian, Jeff, Josh, all on the live stream right now. Of course, you can hang out with us live or listen to Flames Nation Live after the fact, as always. And, lots to talk about. On the eve of training camp, what are the main stories to watch come training camp? What did we make of rookie camp? What were the big takeaways of those two prospects games against the Edmonton Oilers? And, of course, your questions and comments, get them in on the live stream right now as we're with you on Facebook Live. Flames Nation Live is brought to you by our friends at DoorDash, where you can always use the promo code FNLiveDD. Here's the deal. For first-time users of DoorDash, maybe you've never used it before, maybe you've thought about it, maybe you're hungry right now, go online, download the DoorDash app, and use the promo code for first-time users, FNLiveDD. That's going to get you 25% off your first order and free delivery. Once again, FNLiveDD. Make sure you do that. Pike, yesterday at the Scotiabank Saddledome, Flames rookies beat Oilers rookies by a 4-1 score. Before that, it was a 3-2 Oilers rookies win on Saturday at Rogers Place. I had the pleasure of being at both games. I was up there in Edmonton. I was at the Scotiabank Saddledome on Monday night, but you watched the first game on the live stream. You were there last night. What were your takeaways? What jumped off the page to you as we got the first two preseason games out of the way for the Flames?
I think to coin a phrase, Patrick, they are who we thought they were. I mean, let's just, positionally, let's just go down the list. In goal, Dustin Wolf looked good in both games. Dustin Wolf, didn't really have much of a chance on at least three, maybe all four of the games or the goals he led in Edmonton. You can make a case that the fourth goal, an absolute rocket, rebounded off the end boards. Maybe you get a piece of that, maybe you don't. But two power play goals against, one weird bounce off the stick of Johannes Schindval, and then an absolute rocket. And then the fifth goal he gave up, the one in Calgary, was an absolute rocket on a 5-on-3 off the stick of Raphael Lavoie. So you ain't not much you can do with those. So Dustin Wolf, through two games against players, I don't know, AHL level and perhaps lower, he looked good. So good. That's a good first step. On the blue line, Jeremy Poirier might be the guy who stood out for me the most. He, with the puck, brilliant, like really smart passer, good instincts and jumping into the play. Defensively, work in progress. Sometimes he's not where you expect a defenseman to be in the defensive zone, and that's basically what the scouting report on him was, and that's sort of what he looked like. The rest of the Flames blue liners are sort of a mixture of guys who will be AHL depth guys and or lower, like, all due respect to Greg Morrow, but Greg Morrow is not going to get a ton of ice time in Stockton this year based on the number of bodies they have. Up front, Conor Zerri looked good until he suffered that kind of brutal-looking block shot injury. Hopefully he's feeling better today.
Sounds like that's not going to be too major, by the way. Listed day-to-day. It just kind of looked worse than it really was, is kind of the feel right now on Zerri, I think.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't see the replay or watch the stream, basically there was a 5-on-3, and he went to block a shot, and the shot sort of got up on him a little bit and caught him sort of on the high ankle, back of the calf area on the back of his left leg. And, if you've played hockey, there's a lot of padding on the front of your pad, on your leg, not a lot of padding on the back of your pad. He was in a lot of pain because that's a very meaty area. I imagine he probably has a really gross-looking bruise today and probably doesn't want to walk around too much. So they probably gave him a crap ton of ice and told him to stay at the hotel, and that's probably what he did. So, it sounds like he dodged a bullet good, because he's going to be an important player for Stockton this year. Jacob Pelche, also going to be an important player for Stockton this year. Looked really, really good. as we expected. He's fast. He's smart. He's not big, but he was all over the place in good ways in all three zones. Who else? Martin Postmaster, all over the place. I think he had 3 goals over 2 games. Granted, one of them was an empty netter, but he looked pretty good. Guy who we talked to head coach of the Stockton Heat, Mitch Love, about post game yesterday was Ilya Nikolaev. Nikolaev is sort of he was really good last game. Nikolaev, if you haven't heard of him, it's because he's been in Russia and he's sort of more of a two-way guy. Sort of he projects. At least he did project when he was drafted as sort of a Frolik or Backlund type, not a guy who's going to play a ton of power play minutes, but a PK guy, a two-way guy for your middle six. He's going to be playing in Tri-City of the USHL this year because the Flames wanted to bring him over and get him some North American reps, and Tri-City had some openings. Coincidentally, Tri-City also has their that goalie they just drafted, Arseny Sergeyev. So they're going to have a couple Russians in the USHL this year. But yeah, for the first time really on North American ice, Nikolaev, I don't believe, came over at all in any of the prospect camps of the last couple of years. So he looked good, better than I expected him to be quite honest. Who else looked good? Pospisil, I mentioned Pospisil. Emilio Peterson looked good. I'm running out of names here, Pat. But yeah, basically.
Okay, I can jump in too, because I thought, like, I'm with you on Poirier. Very noticeable, good and bad. Like, noticeable on the offensive side of things. Noticeable, you're like, oh boy, that is a riverboat gambler, baby. That guy takes risks. That guy's not lacking confidence to jump into the play. I thought Pelche was the best player of the 2 games. Like, if you were to aggregate the 2 games, I thought Pelche was the best guy. I thought he was better on Saturday than he was on Monday, but still good on Monday. And we'll get to, I want to ask a question about Pelche in a second. I thought Wolf was fine. I thought, other than 1 goal that kind of, I thought, exposed the challenge that he's going to have in his pro career of being a smaller goalie. I thought Wolf looked very good. I liked Francis in both games. I liked Emilio Peterson in both games. So yeah, I'm with you. But here's the question I've got on. Oh, I like Jan Kuznetsov a lot too.
And Walker Duehr, I thought, was good in the first game, not as good in the second game, but he was at least noticeable. He was buzzing around.
He better be. He's older than these guys, right? And so I'm glad that he was able to be noticeable too. Let me ask you this on Pelche, who is not going to be back in junior this year. He's making his professional debut this year, and will be a pro all year long unless things go drastically wrong. So I thought Pelche was the best player in these 2 games. Let's just for a second say that Jacob Pelche carries that over into Sunday's preseason game and is noticeable in practice and is noticeable in preseason games as they go forward. Is there a world where Jacob Pelche could crack this team's roster a la Dylan Dubé 3 years ago? Is there a world where Pelche could be a Flame on October 16th?
Perhaps, but who of the guys on one-way deals do you send down? Or do you carry 23 players, as in you carry 2 healthy scratch forwards for the first little while?
And here's what I would say to that.
I just don't know who he displaces. I just don't know who he displaces. And that's the issue for me.
Give the Flames credit, because I think we would have been having the same conversation in 2018 about Dubé in who does he displace, and they found a way for him to be on the opening day roster. And so I guess the good news is that you can bury some of these contracts if you want in the American League, right? So as it stands right now, I think Cap Friendly's showing 14 forwards for the Flames. And one of them is Byron Frazee. Yeah, so Byron Frazee isn't going to be on the opening day roster. Yeah.
13 contracts in Byron Frazee.
Exactly. So there's 2 options as I see it. Go with 14 forwards, which they could do very easily, and work that into the cap. So Pelche, say Pelche makes it, and so sometimes you're scratching Lewis and Richardson, or maybe you're scratching Lewis and Pitlick, or like you can work that out, or you can bury or Richie and Pitlick or something like that. or you can bury a contract in the American League. I don't think Richardson or Ritchie or Lewis are getting claimed on waivers, and they have the type of cap hit that you can bury fully in the American League. I think that there are ways that the Flames could do it. The only thing is that Pelche would have to be good enough that he's clearly better to start the season than one of those aforementioned guys. So I can see a world where it happens, a la Dylan Dubé 3 years ago, but I don't know if it is a likely world. I think it's realistic, but maybe not likely. Is that?
Yeah, and I think the thing that's in his favor is that he's young, he's fast, and he's someone you can play anywhere. Like I think people will hate this comparison. He's got some Paul Byron in him, and that Paul Byron, the thing that made Paul Byron such a useful player when he was with the Flames, and has continued to make him useful for Montreal, is you could basically put Paul Byron anywhere. Like anywhere on the wing, he can fill in center if you absolutely need to. But if you just need to have a line that just does stuff well, you throw Paul Byron on him. And that's sort of been like look at how at the World Juniors the Team Canada used Jacob Pelche. They basically threw him anytime they needed a line to get a boost. They threw Pelche, and Pelche gave them what they needed. So I think I think it's very helpful for Pelche's future employment prospects that Mitch Love is in camp right now, because I'm sure Mitch Love is telling everyone with two ears how much he enjoys Zerri and Pelche's game, and probably Dustin Wolf too, because these are three young guys that he knows really well. But Pelche specifically, Pelche was so good at the World Juniors that I think it gives you a lot of different things you can do with your lineup if you keep him in. That said, with Daryl Sutter's coach and 13 established NHL forwards in camp, and then some more veteran guys to sort of insulate some of their depth guys who are not quite as old, I think it's probably something that's not likely to happen, but I do definitely think it's possible.
And let me just quickly paint a world where I could see Dustin Wolf getting NHL games this year. Here is the world, and I think this is, you don't have to squint to see it. What if Markstrom or Vladar gets hurt? Say it happens in January, and through half of an AHL season, Dustin Wolf's the best goaltender in Stockton. He's outplayed Adam Werner, and they're in a playoff race. And let's say it's Vladar who goes down, and they need somebody that they can count on and the best guy possible. That's how I see Dustin Wolf getting games. I don't think it's crazy to think it could happen. But again, there's a lot of ifs or a lot of things that would need to transpire for that to happen.
Yeah, and I think I think you hit the nail on the head. If it happens early, Adam Werner's played the NHL, the bright lights wouldn't bother him. But I think the ceiling on Adam Werner is not really as high potentially as the ceiling is with Dustin Wolf. But if Dustin Wolf's played the AHL season 68 games, so let's say you're 30-ish games into the AHL season, and Wolf has played a lot and played very well against grown men, I don't think you really lose anything by trying him out. And I think the nice thing is this season both Werner and Wolf are waiver exempt. So let's say if the Flames are playing 3 games in 4 nights and they need a guy in, like there's no point in having Dustin Wolf as a 20-year-old sitting. So maybe you could bring up Werner for a game to sit and back up Markstrom, and then there's ways they can work it to maximize the usage of all those guys. So I think I've said before in multiple venues, I think how the Flames manage their goalies at the minor league level this year is going to be utterly fascinating. If I was a betting man, I would bet the plan right now, granted probably written in pencil, is Dustin Wolf's the man in Stockton, and probably Daniil Chechelev is going to be the man in Kansas City. Will that pan out? Well, a lot of it depends on how things go with Calgary, because let's be quite honest. The Flames have had terrible luck with backup goalies. The Flames have had terrible luck with goalies in general since Mika Kiprusoff. But even if you look at the way they've done backup goalies last few years, like David Riddick got the backup gig because he was the better of two goalies in the AHL, and Eddie Lack could not cut it in Calgary, and they didn't want to have one good goalie, one bad goalie. So David Riddick got the start. He got the chance, and I think if you're Brad Treliving, I don't think Brad Living's managing right now with a long-term view. I think he's trying to maximize how the Flames do, both because it's sort of a veteran-laden team, and both possibly to a certain extent because he's got 2 years left in his deal, and the Flames haven't done a heck of a lot in the playoffs or even last couple of years in the regular season. So if you're Brad Living, you're making decisions for the better of the team right now. And if Dustin Wolf is someone who can help you right now, he'll be here.
He's Ryan Pike, the overlord of Flamesnation.ca. My name is Pat Steinberg from Sportsnet 960 The Fan, down here at the Sportsnet 960 downtown studios, reminding you that this portion of Flames Nation Live is brought to you by our friends at Deuce Vodka. It is your celebration vodka. Hopefully we're using it to celebrate and not drown our sorrows this coming season. You can find Deuce Vodka in Alberta, across the province, wherever fine spirits are sold. If your liquor store does not carry Deuce Vodka, make sure you get on them to bring it in. This portion of Flames Nation Live brought to you by our friends at Deuce Vodka. Let's get to the live chat, get to some of the questions here and some of the comments. Ryan asks, was Wolf in net the first game? Yes, Dustin Wolf played 120 of 120 minutes of the two prospects games, as you would expect. The other two goalies are not drafted, and while they're not irrelevant, they pale in comparison to the importance of Dustin Wolf. So, yes, Wolf got all 6 periods.
And hey, Connor Ungar and Carter Surenko got ball caps and jerseys, and I'm sure they
and lots of shots in practice. Lots of shots in practice.
Yeah, so there's a value there. Ungar, not really as highly regarded in scouting circles as Carter Surenko, but Surenko, if you follow the Dub, keep an eye on him because he's I believe he's going to go back to Prince Albert fairly soon. I think he's an overager this year, but there's something there. It's just a lot of teams didn't want to draft a lot of goalies this year.
This comes in a couple from Kyle. Who is that beast guy in that camp? I believe you're talking about Coltrane Wilson. That guy is a big hulking man, and I would not be messing with him. He also asked, are the 3 Russians there at the camp? I'm not sure exactly what 3 Russians you're talking about. Kuznetsov is there. Nikolaev is
Nikolaev's Belarusian. The Russians they have in the organization right now are. Well, let me just make sure.
Is Nikolaev Belarusian as well? I know Solovyev is.
Nikolaev's from Yaroslavl, Russia. The Russians they have under contract right now. Nikita Zadarov is going to be in main camp. Spoilers. In the minor league roster, they have Dmitry Zavgorodny, who is Russian and is there. They have the defenseman Ilya Solovyev, who's Belarusian but played in the KHL. So if you call him Russian, close enough. And Yan Kuznetsov is also Russian and also there. The goalie who's not there right now is Arseny Sergeyev, because he was playing some preseason games for Tri-City, the USHL. So the short answer is, were the Russians there? Yes, all but one.
This from Robert. As we transition from prospects to main camp, which starts on Wednesday officially on the ice for the first time officially on Thursday morning. Who do you want to see as the second line center with Mangiapane and Coleman? Backlund or Monahan? Well, I don't know if it's just gonna. I am fascinated to see how Daryl Sutter deploys his forwards and constructs his forward groupings, because I don't know if it's. Could I see Mangiapane and Coleman on the same line? Of course I could. Do I think it's a slam dunk and 100% that Mangiapane and Coleman are on the same line? No, I don't know yet. So that's part of the fascination, and I don't know. Is Monahan the 2C, or is he? Or are there two centers, number 2 centers this year? Are we talking about Backlund and Monahan used as number 2 centers? Is Backlund strictly a third-line shutdown center this year? A lot of that hinges on the way Monahan plays. That's one of the big storylines heading into this main camp.
Because for speed, if the idea is, if you look at sort of how Daryl Sutter ran his lines last year, and granted, it was Daryl Sutter coming on board midstream, so it's not like he had to figure players out as he went along. But I think if you're looking for fast wingers, you're probably looking at Gaudreau, Mangiapane, and Dubé on different lines, which I think probably makes sense. You're probably looking at Lindholm, Monahan, and Backlund on different lines, which again makes sense. So that leaves, Kachuk's probably going to be on that first line. I think the de facto first line, they were good last year of Gaudreau, Lindholm, and Kachuk. That you might as well start with there because it worked really well. And then Coleman could be on a line with Backlund as a pure shutdown line, and you put Dubé there as sort of a speed and grit guy. Not that Coleman's not fast, but I think
you could if you're looking for a pure shutdown line, that's kind of what Pitlick excels at too. Maybe you put him on that line.
And then you have Coleman on a different line, like because the nice thing with Mangiapane is he's good at everything. Like if you're sheet plug, I encourage anyone who's really into like advanced stats, subscribe to Evolving Hockey because it's inexpensive and it gives you so many cool macro stats. But one of the stats they look at is sort of their goals above replacement metric looks at sort of impacts on defensive side of the ice and on the offensive side of the ice. And Andre Mangiapane is one of the best Flames on both sides of the ice. He's just good at everything. So if you want Mangiapane to be, he could be your shutdown guy with Backlund and maybe Pitlick. That could work. And then you have what? Who's left? Dubé, Monahan, and Coleman on the second line.
Let me jump in because here's something that you know me and my affinity for two-way lines and lines that can just crush it at both sides of the ice. Imagine a line knowing the two-way ability of these three players: Backlund, Mangiapane, Coleman. Like that right there is your all situations. You play it like you use them as a shutdown line, but you also expect them to be a scoring line. Like you just use them in all situations. And I think that they would go out and blow the doors off most nights. And then you can keep the Lindholm line together. And now you've got like Monahan and Dubé together on a line, and they can go and be put in a lot of offensive spots. That's quite interesting to me.
And we've documented this on Flamesnation and on Sportsnet 960 The Fan at various points. Sean Monahan, like let's be quite honest, he has scored a crap ton of goals. Like he is a prodigious goal scorer, but if you look at where he scores the goals, he has paid the price. Because of we're going to have plenty of time to wax poetic about the quality of NHL officiating and or lack thereof. He has taken slashes and cross checks and elbow, like he goes to what the hockey people call the high rent district. He scores most of the goals in and around the blue paint and in the low slot, and he gets beat to heck because of it. So if you're the Flames and you have the ability to get the most, like realistically, they want to win the most games they can. Do that, they need to get the most they can out of Sean Monahan, and the best way to do that is to shelter him. And if you can have Lindholm's line and a Backlund mega line taking the heavy lifting, you can give Monahan a ton of offensive zone starts and power play time and save his goals for when you need them. And if you can do that, then all of a sudden the thought process of the Flames trying to grind out 3-2 and 2-1 games, it might tip to the positive side of the ledger there, because these are going to be a lot of close games in a division with a lot of teams with flaws, and the teams that can figure out how to paper over their flaws with deployments and chicanery are the ones who are going to win, right?
Last comment, because Kyle asked who would Monahan play with in that circumstance. Would be Dubé and somebody else. This one from Pitlick or Pelche. I don't know. Maybe Zerri. Who knows? Who knows? The world's their oyster. This one from Pat. Says, Pat just logged in, so I apologize if this has been asked, but I love the Flames' talent. Are they too small? I don't buy into I'm not as big into the big small thing. I think if you've got good hockey players and you're built well, then you can, like, I don't look at Tampa as a really big team. Like when I think of Tampa, I think of puck possession. I think of dangerous off the rush. I think of the power play. I think of Vasilevsky in net. I don't think about how big they are.
And you think of a bunch of small offensive guys. Braden Point is not a big dude. Cedric Paquette, not a big dude. Yeah, like Nikita Kucherov, not a big dude. Like they have, I think it's about sort of the mix of guys and not like the size of guys. Like I think if the idea is like if you have a team of like I don't know 12 tiny dudes, you're probably gonna have some problems. If you have a team of 12 big dudes, you're probably kind of slow and probably too slow to really do what you want to do. And I think it's about mixing and matching the style of guys that you have and having guys that can play the system you want. So I don't know. I don't think they want to have too many tiny boys on it, but if they're like, if they have enough guys who can score on every line, I don't think size is really the thing. I mean, case in point, I was looking through my draft notes. The year that he was drafted, Johnny Gaudreau's central scouting profile had him listed at 5'6" and 135 pounds. So, and that might have been with his gear on. So did anyone expect him to become a bona fide first line player, 99-point player, high end talent in the NHL? I'm sure he did, but I'm pretty sure he also had to listen to a lot of people saying, "But you're too small." So if you have 23 guys on your team who are 5'6", 135, you're probably in trouble. But you could probably use 3 or 4 of them if they're good.
Okay, main camp Wednesday for fitness testing and medicals on the ice for the first time. We're thinking like Thursday morning around 8:45, 9 is kind of what the word is right now. Nothing official as of the time of this recording and this live stream on Flames Nation Live, but that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We'll do another Flames Nation Live this week. Thinking right now, I might come at you on Thursday from the Scotiabank Saddledome following day 1 of training camp, but we'll see. Maybe Saturday. We'll definitely be back before the first preseason game on Sunday. You can always use our DoorDash Flames Nation promo code at DoorDash FNLiveDD, and this is good for first-time users. You get 25% off and free delivery. Use the promo code at DoorDash FNLiveDD. Once again, FNLive DD. Mr. Pike, it is wonderful to see you again, and we will talk to you again very soon. I'm sure I'll see you at the Scotiabank Saddledome in the coming days.
Especially
Starts
Sunday
off on Thursday.
Preseason game on Sunday with human beings in the stands. That'll be fun. If you're going to the game, just show up early. It's going to be the first, like the rookie game. It was basically just media and hockey operations people, so they didn't have to do a soft launch of any of the fancy shenanigans they had to go through to get people in the door. So if you're coming on Sunday, please show up early and be nice to the Flame staff. Like it's gonna be weird for a little while, so be patient with each other and with the staff because they're going to be figuring. It's going to be the first time in the last time they had fans in the building was that Sunday night loss to Vegas
March 8th.
March 8th. In March 8th. So it's been a while. We're all going to be a little bit rusty, so give yourself some extra time, and also it's cashless, so make sure you bring your debit card.
And be kind to one another. That's what I always say. Bye, Pike. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you at the Dome. We'll talk to you on Flames Nation soon as well. Thanks for all your comments on the live stream. Thanks for joining us, whether you're live or listening, watching after the fact. It's been another edition of Flames Nation Live, brought to you by DoorDash.